We're sharing our viewpoints on Kutna Hora. Hello and welcome to Tantrum House Studio 3. I'm Ryan.
I'm Kevin.
I'm Melissa.
And I'm Jonah. And before we dive into our thoughts on this game, let's give you a brief overview of how it's played.
Kutna Hora is an action selection, tile-laying, market manipulation game for 2 to 4 players that takes 1 to 2 hours to play. It's published by CGE, and they gave us this copy for review. The game is played over 5 rounds, with each player taking 3 turns during the round. You select actions from double-sided cards to dig in the mines, purchase plots of land, gain permits for specific buildings, build those buildings on your plots, gain income from your production, and help construct St. Barbara's Cathedral. Your actions influence the supply and demand in the market, impacting all players. You'll need to balance your personal goals with the needs of the city to try and gain the most points to ultimately win the game.
All right, so now that you know a little bit about the game and how to play, we want to let you know that in this video we're going to talk about theme and components. We're going to talk about stuff that we liked, stuff that we disliked, and of course we'll leave you with some final thoughts if you're thinking about owning this game or getting it to your table very soon for a play. So Ryan, why don't you start us?
Well, Kutna Hora, not familiar with the words necessarily, but I assume it's about building this specific city, like how it came to be. So there's mines, there's building the building itself, the city itself, and then the big cathedral. I don't know that it felt like a unified thing to me, but
It felt disjointed.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So the rule book has a lot of information, historical information about the city and the people. So there is a lot of extra information in the rule book that kind of brings the theme out.
Yeah, and it probably makes more sense if you've read the rule book.
And I believe the specific buildings are actually buildings from the city.
Oh.
Like you can see pictures of those
very
specific
cool.
constructions.
It is the city of silver. I do feel like silver is a part of what's going on, but it's not the main part. It's you have the coal mining and you have all the other resources that are going on, but I don't know what you guys thought on that.
Now the main board where you place your buildings is like a monochrome silver and black board. And so when I saw City of Silver and I saw the kind of overall arching colors that are apparent in the game, I thought, oh, that's interesting. It's kind of deceptive a little bit because it is just like this silverish, dark monochrome, but the game is like a standard, game. It's not like the game is dark or anything.
No.
It's just it's interesting.
And then when you turn the buildings over, when you complete them, I do think that as the city's growing, there's a lot more vibrancy and color being added to the game, and sort of that leads me to the components. I think the colors that were used and the components themselves are really good. It's not just your regular meeples or your cubes. That they use this new system. I don't know.
It's called Rewood.
Yeah.
And I don't know all of the specifics and technical things, but it's some sort of recycled wood-like product that kind of can be molded almost more like plastic in miniatures, but it's actually wood.
Oh, I thought it was a mix of plastic and wood, but
that I don't know.
Not sure.
It did feel different than anything I've ever used before in a game.
Yeah, I don't think that the pieces that you're playing with are big enough where you would notice a difference, but because they're kind of just small. But I agree with you. I like the colors that they chose for the player colors.
Yeah.
I think the cards that you use to select your actions are really vibrant.
Oh, yeah.
When you flip over the buildings, like you said, it becomes more colorful. You're actually matching even colored symbols to score points.
Right.
The symbols are good because I was colorblind, and once my attention was drawn to the symbols, I was like, oh, this is what I need to pay attention to.
But like I said, the board itself, one piece of the board itself is just kind of like dark and monochrome. So it can give off the wrong impression, but I think that they did a good job with everything else.
I do like that the player boards are dual layered. I like that in any game. I think it works well in this one because you are taking off your buildings, you're taking out the people, it does as you're revealing things. I think it works well.
Yeah, and moving your income markers down so they can kind of lock into those little spots.
And your reputation.
Melissa, why don't you tell us something that you liked about the game?
All right, so I really like the dual use cards, which is probably what many people are going to say, but each card has 2 actions on it. You're choosing one of those actions when you take your turn, and throughout the round, you're going to be playing 5 of your 6 cards. Once your action's down on the table, you can't use it later that round. So you have to plan ahead a little bit of, I think I need to use this action, or I don't. I think I can do this card. You do have a Joker card. That's a wild. It does take some reputation to play early in the game. So if you've messed up, you're not like completely out of it. Yeah. Unless you've already played your Joker, and then, oh well.
I also like the dual use cards, although I did feel a little bit restrictive, and maybe I'll talk about that in the dislikes. But I do, in general, like dual use cards, and I think it worked okay in this game. I liked the market, economy market boards that are in this game. I haven't really seen that in a lot of the Euro games that we play, and how it works with not only the little tracks that are, I don't know, what do you call those things that you push up?
Yeah, I'm not sure what you'd call it.
Sure, markers, tracks.
Yeah, they're little cardboard sliders that you're sliding up. But they also have those cards in the market, so it's like moving in 2 different directions throughout the game, which I think they did a good job.
Would you say the cards are the demand and the sliders are the supply?
Yeah, so population, I think, is what they use in the game.
Yeah, the red orange cards are population. I forget what
right.
It's just the or. So yeah, when you move the sliders, you're usually making something worth less because there's more product.
Yeah.
And then when you're flipping the cards, sometimes you're bringing the
there's more people.
There's more people. So
and there's so they're
more
paying.
Demand.
They're paying more for it. So.
That was definitely the thing I liked the most as well. So now I'm trying to think of something else.
Well, you can elaborate more on it.
Go for it.
No, I appreciated there being there's an economics aspect to the game. And you just don't see that very often in games. And I appreciated that. Supply and demand.
Yeah.
One of the things that I really like is actually how easy the game is to play. I didn't feel overwhelmed or like I missed something, even first time playing. Now, there are some icons that you've got to get used to, but they have player aids. And so for me, I refer to the player aids a lot because, there's almost a area of the board that is just bonus icons. And so if you want to get the bonus, you need to know what the icon is, right? But other than that, it's pretty simple of a game. You buy rights to buildings, then you plot where you want to put the building, and then you put the building out. Like, it's pretty simple, but like everyone's saying, dual use cards, so which one am I going to doing? A fluctuating market, so should I take income now while my prices are high, or should I hope the prices go down by the time it comes back to my turn? So I really liked how simple it was to play. That was my thing. Like, I liked that a lot.
Yeah, I noticed that too, especially with the player aids. I thought it walked you through it easily, and the actions make sense. It's not hard to learn how to play, but it's kind of hard to know how to play well.
We're still trying to figure that one out.
Yeah, still trying to figure that one out. Another thing that I like about the game is that it's a little bit more tactical than long-term planning strategic. So things are changing a lot, and I like being able to adjust to that because I usually don't do well in like really long-term economic games where if in turn 1 I miscalculate something, I'm doomed for the rest of the game. The market is volatile, so I can kind of jump back in and, hold my own and even win sometimes.
Good job. Yeah, I like the interaction of the game. The interaction of this game is interesting because not only are you hurting basically everyone when the market is fluctuating, when you're doing things on the board, it's literally changing the market, and you are placing things out that are really impacting what other players want to do or don't want you to do. But then you're also doing things that benefit other players too in that same sort of way. You are making the market, go down. Maybe you're playing a wood building and it's making it cheaper for everyone to play wood now because it's easier to build because wood's cheaper. I find that very interesting. The good and the bad that's mixed with your actions.
Yeah, like the public buildings might benefit everyone. You have the patricians that score for everyone. So you might
that's
pay
another thing. Yeah.
to place it out, but then everyone can benefit from it if they do the thing that will score.
I like it. Kevin, why don't you tell us something you didn't like about the game?
Yeah. So the one of my small dislikes isn't that dual use cards. Sometimes I'm like, I just want to build, like, or I just want to do these 3 things in a row, and it's like I do feel restrictive. You do have the Joker, so you could do something again, but it's hard to do 3 of the or 4 of the same thing in a given round. You're like, I just really need to get my buildings out. So you really are planning on that, and I felt maybe a little restrictive that I didn't like in the game, personally.
Yeah, I feel like the dual use cards.
Disagree.
I couldn't. I would like to have had a more thematic reason why this action was paired with this one. I know, and then the Joker. I never used the Joker except when it was free, and then I used it to be a mine action,
which was
the other side of the Joker.
I do remember that at the end of the game.
I disliked that I didn't use the cathedral more. It was over on the far side of the game.
You never used it at all.
There wasn't any reason for me to interact with it.
I disliked that you gave Jonah a free building.
Yeah, it happened.
Well, I didn't know what was going on over there. Because it was so far away, I couldn't understand the symbols. All I knew was the bottom half was just raising taxes.
And that was your first game, too.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I should say that we all have played it at 4 players. Mm-hmm. So all of our experiences are at 4 players. It does play differently at 2. 3, I've heard, is fairly similar to 4.
Sure.
So
makes
just
sense.
keep
It's
that
on
in
the
mind.
same side of the board, too.
With our, thoughts and everything.
Yep.
Um,
Well, folks, I'm not sure if I have a dislike. Honestly,
Ooh.
I have another one.
I'm not saying that the game is perfect, but I'm just saying I thought it was fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think that I have a dislike. I appreciated it.
Well, the other thing I actually dislike, but I don't know if there's another way of doing it, is at the end of the game when you're counting up points, I dislike having to literally count each house. And it takes you a little bit out of what's going on in the game. You're like, all right, count the symbols by this one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, Kevin, you missed one.
Yeah.
All right, let's count the symbol by this one. You missed one again. It's like I felt that was just a little too much. Like, I don't know, it just felt weird to me. That you're counting like 20 houses there at the end of the game.
A little bit of bookkeeping.
Yeah, a little bit.
I would say during the game, because of the market prices and everything, there is some math involved, especially when you take income. You might have 3 or 4 different commodities and you're going, okay, I have 5 of this times 5 of that, okay, 25. Now I have 3 of this times 4, that's another 12. And I personally have trouble keeping track of numbers in my head, so
I was able to help with that.
I can do calculus, but don't make me add in my head.
So that could be a little a minor dislike, because during the game, most of the time, it's when you're doing one action, it's like, oh, what's the wood price? What's the silver price? So you only have to do one math problem. But during the income, I do agree. It's like, oh, you're doing 4 things and you're trying to add them all up.
Now, I have listened to a couple other reviewers and their takes on the game, and some people have complained about the opaqueness of the market, the volatility of it. So sometimes you may flip 3 cards and it doesn't change at all. Sometimes you flip 1 and it does change. That personally didn't bother me because, again, more of the tact, tactics.
I think I appreciated that because sometimes it's like, I really need to change. 3 cards come out, it doesn't change. No. And sometimes you're like, please don't change. One card and it changes.
Yeah.
So I kind of like the randomness of like, the thing is changing. Like, you need to sit here, cross your fingers, and hope it goes your direction. You know?
Kevin kept making wood go up right before I was going to build.
Make it expensive.
But again, that didn't ruin the game for me because it's happening to everyone, and it feels like a short game. Even though it's about an hour and a half, 2 hours, it doesn't feel like, I'm stuck for another 2 hours.
And I think it also obscures a little bit how well everybody's doing. At the end of the game, I tied for first and then lost with the tiebreaker. And I think I would have felt better if I had come in 3rd or 4th. But I had no idea how well I was doing until we tallied up the score at the end.
Okay.
So a lot of it's just living in the moment, doing the tactical, not knowing what's going to happen at the next card flip.
Okay, we got to give the people what they want.
Final
So Kevin, you're up first.
Yep.
We're talking CGE games only.
Ooh.
Kutna Hora is better than what, but not as good as what?
And CGE.
CGE only.
Better than Tashkalar.
Okay.
That's an easy one. Not as good as Alchemist for me. I love Alchemist. One of my favorite CGE games. Right. And they have a lot of party games too, but I'm not going
to. So
much of the Euro, because they have a lot of Euro games.
Yeah, now Kevin and I have actually demoed for CGE a lot of years, so we are very familiar with a lot of their games. Ooh,
Starship Captain.
So better than what, and not as good as what?
Starship Captain is one of their newer ones last year.
Yeah, I'll try not to do like their old ones.
Yeah.
Let's see. Not as good as Zolkin.
Oh, I like Zolkin a lot, yeah.
I would say better than Starship Captains.
Sure.
All right.
Well, I agree.
Ryan, what you got?
I agree completely with Melissa, except I also think it's better than Alchemists.
What? Oh, interesting. Interesting.
Probably not better than Pulsar.
Pulsar 2849 is probably one of their better games that I really, really like.
I'm going to rank the game pretty even with Lost Ruins of Arnak. Pretty even.
What?
Because of how easy it is to play. Lost Ruins is a tough setup. It's a tough teach that first time. It's tough.
Yeah.
This is easier to get to the table and
especially
actually
if you play Lost Ruins wrong.
I did play Lost Ruins wrong the first time. I had a great time. It was an awesome game, and then they came back and told me I played it wrong, and I was like, oh, should I learn the real rules? I was having fun.
Let's see. Yeah, this comparison's hard because a lot of CGE games are in like my top 10s of certain years. So I have a lot that I really enjoy. I think they put out quality games.
This is an action, like for me, final thoughts are this is an action selection game. It makes sense. I think you mentioned that earlier. It makes sense. I'm building the buildings. I'm doing the things. Joining you like city, getting the rights, doing the thing, doing the mining action. So there's not a lot of things that are like, wonder if I like do that. It's not gonna like. I don't know what that means. So. Final thoughts are like it's a solid Euro game that may be in my top 10 this year.
Would play again.
I've played again. I'd played it also again. More again.
Okay.
Yeah, and again, we've all played it at 4 players at the max player count.
Yeah.
There is a lot of interactivity, some volatility, so you just have to be aware of that. But I've really enjoyed it. I played again also.
Cool. Okay, that's it from us here at Tantrum House. So please like the video, leave a comment if you agree with us or if you like some other CGE games, and make sure you subscribe to our channel so you can catch anything and everything we do next. See ya.